Hi YouTube! So today I wanted to compare the N2 from Sterling Ink and Weeks from Hobonichi. And at the end of the video, I will actually give one of them away because I don't need the same exact thing twice. So stay tuned for that and let's decide which one I like better for my EDC. So starting from the cover, I love this texture. I think I mentioned it in my last video as well, but I just love it. And the Hobonichi, I have it in the clear cover, but the texture on the Hobonichi was also really great. If you really want to stay in a very like a professional setting, I think Sterling Ink would be better option because it's one color, it's very sleek. The Hobonichi, the one that I bought, especially if you buy the monotone color, I think it can also be very professional. But the one that I bought is very cute. And definitely, I bought the just regular, not with extra note pages. So if you compare the size, it's actually, Sterling Ink is a lot bigger because it has the monthly, weekly, and also dailies. So actually, let me take this out of the cover to compare the exact sizes. So if I compare it, they are exactly the same size. I think the Sterling Ink is slightly wider. So I don't know if you guys can see. It sticks out just a tiny little bit. But other than that, they're the same exact size. But Sterling Ink, the cover and the pages are exactly the same size. But in Hobonichi, especially because I got the hardcover sticks out a little bit more than the page. So technically the page sizes, the Sterling Ink would be bigger. And definitely a lot thicker. So okay, let's look into it. So if you open up, Hobonichi says hobo everywhere. Sterling Ink is just very clean white page. And then the second page, they both just describe what they are. And I think this is where it's different. So Sterling Ink, it gives you just current year and a note section. But Hobonichi gives you current, past, and next year as well. And it gives you like a place to write your important dates. So I think for me, especially for my work, I really do need to look into next year. So in that case, I think Hobonichi would be a better option. But if you just need like current year, then Sterling Ink is fine. And then turning the page. Oh, this is one thing that is also different from the Sterling Ink versus Hobonichi. So Hobonichi gives you this yearly overview where you can, I don't know, habit track, write even more important dates, anything you want to do. But Sterling Ink doesn't give you that. Instead, it gives you a blank page. So if you want to recreate the Hobonichi Weeks yearly overview, you'd have to make that yourself. But Sterling Ink does give you goal breakdown, which Hobonichi doesn't. So Hobonichi, after the yearly overview, goes straight into monthly. But Sterling Ink gives you quarterly overviews. So I guess you can kind of think of as Hobonichi's yearly overview. In Sterling Ink, it just spread out a little bit more over the quarters. And monthly, they both start December of this year. Monthly boxes I want to compare, I think are the same. So they're the same height, but Sterling Ink is a little bit wider, and I definitely do think because it's also a wider page. But other than that, the layout is almost the same. Of course, the Hobonichi has the weekends in different colors. Sterling Ink doesn't do that. And page, I also forgot to mention, Sterling Ink is much wider versus the Hobonichi Weeks is creamier page. And I think the fonts are definitely lighter in Sterling Ink. And I don't know why, but I prefer the dark fonts of the Hobonichi much better, especially around the boxes, like the big boxes. I don't mind if the grids are light, but what breaks up the days, individual days, I like how Hobonichi is a lot more darker, so I know exactly when it ends. Yeah, but that's just my preference. Like if you really like just a simple look, I think you might prefer the Sterling Ink. So monthly, Sterling ink goes up to next year January versus Hobonichi goes all the way up to March. And especially for my work, again, but this is my EDC, so that doesn't, I'm not sure if that really matters, but for my work, I do have to look into next year quite a bit. So I do prefer that Hobonichi goes all the way up to March, but I know a lot of people don't do that, and just having the January of next year is just good enough. And then I also realized, I forgot to mention, on the Hobonichi weeks, on this note section, it gives you little check boxes. So you can make to-dos on the monthly, versus Sterling ink, it just is a blank grid all over. So that's the little difference. And then the weeklies, let me go to the same page. So Sterling ink, definitely, it just gives you date and day of the week, and there is nothing that separates it. It's kind of a seamless integration, versus the Hobonichi, it does give you day and week and even moon cycles, and it does separate that section away from the rest of your writing space. I feel like I really don't mind either or, because even in Sterling ink, I don't think I'm gonna start writing here and then jump to this side. But if you want, you can write something else in here. And I really don't care about the moon cycle. I know a lot of people like look at moon cycles. I don't really care, so I don't mind not having that in Sterling ink. And then I realized on the Hobonichi, it gives you little dots here, so you can divide the page into thirds. In Sterling ink, it does not. And same thing here, it has that like invisible line down here, but on Sterling ink, it does not. Oh, Sterling ink does give you a guideline to divide in halves, but not in thirds. And definitely the Sterling ink does not have any codes that Hobonichi does, nor the calendar. And also, yeah, Hobonichi has bookmarks if you need it. And then Hobonichi weeks on this side, it does not give you any grid, but Sterling ink, you do get grid on both pages, which I actually prefer much more because I cannot write straight for the life of me. So I like that how Sterling ink gives you some guidelines through the grids. Hobonichi, you can see grid from the other page, but I don't know, I prefer Sterling ink more. The weeklies, the Sterling ink is definitely, the height is definitely bigger, and I think that's because the code is missing from here, so it has extra space. And then the notes. So Hobonichi gives you, the weeks at least gives you some note pages, and they are both numbered, but Hobonichi has that again, that line going down here, which Sterling ink doesn't. And definitely the grids are much more prominent on the Hobonichi versus Sterling ink. And Sterling ink definitely gives you a lot more note pages because I think they are also available as like a daily pages rather than Hobonichi is just really just note section. And if you do need extra notes, you can buy with extra note pages, but I just didn't. So that's just really more on me. And then Hobonichi gives you these extra pages and Sterling ink doesn't. So Sterling ink, after the last grid page is just the end, versus the Hobonichi gives you a bunch of extra pages and then that's that. I think Hobonichi also has the sneaker version where the cover is soft, but yeah, Hobonichi is not very bendy. Like if I try to show you, but I love how Sterling ink, you can bend it like so much. So my overview. So we looked at all the. So we looked at all the inside of each planners, and my overview is that if you want to customize everything, I think Sterling ink would be much better option for you. But for my everyday carry, I will actually use Hobonichi weeks. So Hobonichi is the winner, but not because I don't like Sterling ink. It's just that it's gonna be used as my everyday carry, and I like how this is very light versus. It's my fault. I didn't buy the compact version, so I bought the full year. What I could have done is maybe buy the half year, so it's much smaller, but it's just too thick for me. to carry around. And the grids are too light. I don't know why I don't like grids being too light, but I don't know, I prefer this. It's just easier to see for me. So I will use the Hobonichi Weeks as my everyday carry. So I'm gonna actually give away the N2 from Sterling Ink. So this is the onyx with gold edge. And I also do have to mention, on the back, some of the pages don't have grids on it. It's just completely blank. And I think it's more of a mistake on their part, because also the numbering, the page number, you can barely see it. So there are 3 pages that happens. Everything else I checked should be fine. So if you don't like that, it's okay. If you don't mind that, you can comment below to let me know if you do want a free N2 from Sterling Ink. So I will put the description for the giveaway down below. And well, that's it for today. So I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please subscribe. And I will see you guys next week. Bye!